Okay, guys, well, it's just starting now. It's just happening here as we speak. Chinese President Xi is in Moscow visiting Russian President Putin, both so they can proclaim against the United States. Now, here's the thing. President Xi from China, this is the ninth time out of 10 years that he has visited Moscow. Yeah, and guess what? He has not been to the United States since 2013 when he visited Barack Obama, president. So 10 years he has not been to China. Or I'm sorry, he has not been to the United States. Yeah, so just kind of think about this as they're forming a new alliance. In fact, some say a new world order. Take a look at this.
President Xi and President Putin meeting in Moscow today as personal friends and fellow autocrats. Though striking notably different tones in newspaper op-eds this morning, Putin slamming the US strategy of double containment of Russia and China, Xi calling for dialogue over Ukraine while supporting Russia. Putin showing no interest in compromise. This weekend, travelling by helicopter for his first known visit to territory illegally occupied by his forces. Travelling to Mariupol, devastated by a Russian onslaught, the Kremlin's camera filming him telling residents in a new apartment, sorry to bother you. Even driving himself, but all under the cover of darkness. In daylight, this is what most of Mariupol looks like after a devastating Russian onslaught. This is the city where a theatre of civilians was targeted, hundreds died, and where a maternity hospital was shelled, killing and wounding pregnant women. Ukraine's presidential office saying the criminal is always drawn to the scene of the crime. Putin accused of war crimes by the International Criminal Court for the illegal deportation of children from Ukraine to Russia, casually walking past a newly constructed playground. The Kremlin calling the international arrest warrant outrageous, unacceptable, and void. The US signaling to Russia and China attempts at a deal to end the war, but leaving places like Mariupol in Russian hands will fail.
If, coming out of this meeting, there's some sort of call for a ceasefire, well, that's just going to be unacceptable.
President Xi hoping to present himself as a diplomat this week. President Putin viewing the Chinese leader's visit as a diplomatic victory. In the days to come, President Putin will act, Chanel, as if he no longer cares what Europe and America thinks. President Xi, with all of China's economic ties to the West, definitely does care, even as he increasingly openly challenges the US. Chanel?
All right, Keir, thank you.
Yeah, so China's President Xi decides to visit Russian President Putin just days after the ICC, the International Criminal Court, issued an arrest warrant for him after Russia has been accused, and it's pretty well known that they have taken thousands of Ukrainian children from Ukraine and just taken them to Russia, away from their families for re-education, to re-education camps, just stolen them. You guys can let me know what this reminds you of. I already know what you're thinking. Meanwhile, so first of all, how you support this, China supports this because they're literally going to Russia right days after this. And Russia's response to this, they defy the arrest warrant. And instead, they're opening their own case against the ICC, the International Criminal Court. So they're going to, what? They're going to issue an arrest warrant for the International Criminal Court? They're going to issue an arrest warrant against the judges because they issued a ruling against them? I know you can't make this stuff up. But even worse than this, is that Russia, you can see this directly here from the New York Times, Russia signals it will take even more Ukrainian children. Yeah, so if this isn't a reason to make sure that this war comes to an end and not in Russia's favor, I don't know what is. Let me know your thoughts on this. And well, first, let me give you the details here on this. Russia's abduction and deportation of Ukrainian children since its invasion of the country was so well documented and terrifying that when Russian forces prepared to withdraw from the southern city of Kherson last fall, doctors at a hospital there hurriedly hid babies and falsified their records. When Russian soldiers arrived, the staff at Kherson Regional Hospital said the infants were too critically ill to move, and they put lung ventilation devices near all of the children. The efforts saved 14 babies from being swept up in a campaign that has systematically transferred thousands of Ukrainian children to Russia to be resettled in foster families and put on the track to become Russian citizens, basically be stolen. Now, think about this. This arrest warrant is being issued in real time while the crimes are happening and still happening. These are literally happening right now. Think about this. While we're speaking, this is happening potentially today and tomorrow and the next day. Think about the hundreds or thousands of babies, children, toddlers, preteen that this is still going to happen to. And think about what US citizens, Americans are helping to try to prevent and are preventing just by the US giving them weapons to help them defend their country, which largely has pushed back Russia. And I mean, think about this. If US and Europe and the rest of the world has not helped them defend this, they could all just be under Russian control right now and would largely be, I mean, this is literally everything that has gone on here reminds me of what happened in World War II. Putin, aka Hitler 2.0, literally just went and took over country after country after country. Now, Putin has already taken over Crimea. Now he's trying to take over Ukraine, which has been a bit bigger than he thought, a little bit more than he could chew because Ukraine fought back and the rest of the world supported him, which is what happened in World War II as well. He's also mistakenly released plans that he wanted to take over Moldova and Belarus as well, and also the country of Georgia. So if you think about this, there's multiple more countries that Russia wants to take over one way or another. Whether these countries like it or not, whether the citizens like it or not. And just like with multiple of these countries, they're going to hold a vote, and the vote's going to come back in Russia's favor because Russia is going to hold the vote under armed guard, and Russia is going to count the votes. Yeah. Meanwhile, China President Xi is over there promoting him and China as the peacemaker there. But first of all, Putin has already turned them down. One, he's going to put on a little dog and pony show here for the next couple days, trying to, appease him, saying, oh, yeah, peace is on the table, blah, 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 blah. And the reality of it is peace is not really on the table because peace terms are nowhere close. Putin's peace terms are give us your land and give us everything you own, and then we can have peace. Putin's peace terms are total surrender. Ukraine is not going to just give up everything, especially when Russia doesn't even occupy like 80 or 90% of the land that they want to take over. It's just absurd. It's absurd. And my best analogy for this is last year, not even a year ago, in July, when a top Russian lawmaker, here it is right here from the Washington Examiner, July 7th, top Russian lawmaker threatens that Russia may reclaim Alaska because Russia used to own Alaska. So this would be like Russia saying, oh, we're taking back Alaska from the United States. And our terms of peace are we're taking it back. And that's it. That's basically what Russia is doing with Ukraine. Their terms of peace are surrender Alaska, or in this case, Ukraine, and then we can have peace. And if you don't do that, there's no peace. Do you see the problem with Putin's terms of peace? The United States would never agree to giving up Alaska like top Russian lawmakers threatened literally less than a year ago. Ukraine's not going to give up 20% of their land either, especially when Russia doesn't even control all of it. They literally control only a fraction of it. They've been pushed back out of the majority of it. So it's literally absurd here. Now, China's going to come in and, do the dog and pony show and say, oh, we support Russia for some reason, and they're going to try to remain neutral and say, oh, we're pushing for peace. But Putin's not going to have peace. He's going to keep pounding this country mercilessly for war. And to what end? To what end is the problem here? And you got to think about Ukraine here. Just what do they do? What do they do? They're going to keep fighting back. Hopefully, the support doesn't run out here from the U.S. or the rest of the world. In fact, they're now getting fighter jets from a couple new countries here, which is a good thing, but it's only a few. And the problem here is that think about how battered and blown up their country is. Imagine if you live there and their children are literally being taken from them by the tens of thousands. It's literally a nightmare on earth. If you think it's bad here in the US for inflation or credit card rates or anything, imagine what life would be like in Ukraine. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos. And thank you for liking and sharing these videos as well. Here's some videos you should watch next. Here is a video about NATO arming Russia's borders with 300,000 troops. Or people could lose everything because of the Fed. Click here to see why. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.